What's good? It's your boy Jay, that's me. We're going to get into TNA Impact from September the 18th, 2025. A pretty okay show for the most part, but it could have been better. We are 1 week away until Victory Road, so they're still building towards that show. Bound for Glory is officially 4 weeks away, so that's really good. And that's when we'll probably get the TV deal announced. Hopefully, TNA will be a part of the CW. I think that would be tremendous, especially with this teased invasion angle that they're going to run with on NXT this upcoming Tuesday. And I think that's going to be tremendous. So hopefully, come Bound for Glory, we'll get the massive announcement that TNA is a part of the CW family. I think that would be tremendous and it would be great. And I think when that does happen, which I'm hoping it does, then we'll see a massive change in TNA. I'm pretty sure WWE will get heavily involved. They'll send certain main roster guys and girls that aren't doing nothing to TNA. You can still do more of the NXT TNA crossover and it be official, especially when they go live 52 weeks a year. So that's great. So I'm definitely excited for that when the time comes. All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. So we kicked the show off with the first match of the night. Mustafa Ali defeats Brian Myers. Who gives a shit? I'm a fan of Mustafa Ali. Fuck Brian Myers. So, Ali basically wrote up Brian Myers. Post-match, the Order 4, they get into a brawl with the system, and then Moose had a stare down with Special Agent Zero. So I assume this is going to be Moose versus Agent Zero at some point down the line, maybe at Bound for Glory. I know it's going to be Mustafa Ali and Moose at Victory Road, which Ali should go over there. So that would make the perfect... that would be the perfect decision, if we're being honest. And then they get into a brawl, and then that was it. Moving on. So Santana Marella, he announced at Bound for Glory it's going to be the Order 4 versus the System. I don't care about this. It is what it is. So, moving on. So, Dani Luna, she's backstage. She's taping up her wrist and getting ready for her match against iIndi Hartwell later on in the show. She's interrupted by the personal concierge. The personal concierge talked about how it would be her and the TNA Knockouts World Champion Ashby Elegance best interest if iIndi Hartwell didn't make it to Bound for Glory. Okay, that is fine there. I like that. I really wish that TNA would stop pushing iIndi Hartwell. She doesn't have it. The face of the division needs to be right now Masha Slamovich. For now, you could, and then later on, you could also build up Mara Sade, aka Jakara Jackson. But those should be your main faces. iIndi Hartwell does not have it. She had an awful match with Tessa at Slammiversary, and ever since then, I have not really liked iIndi Hartwell all that much. When she came in at first, it was kind of cool. But that match with Tessa just 2 months ago, to me, was just awful. And I think it would be in TNA's best interest if they move on from pushing someone of the likes of iIndi Hartwell. She just doesn't have it. She can be a fine mid-card champion if they had it, but whatever, I don't give a fuck. Moving on. So, we get a video package of what happened on NXT this past Tuesday, involving the title versus title. It's going to be Obafemi and Trick Williams, title for title. So, that's fine. So, it does mean that they are going to push the invasion angle. There's no way that Trick or Oba is going to get a clean win. It's going to be a no contest, which is awesome, and I can't wait for that. That should kick major fucking ass. Moving on. So, we get a video package of ODB. So, cool there, I guess. Nostalgia. So, that would be what? ODB was from what? 04? No, I think 02, 04 to, I want to say she stayed, was it 2012, 2013, or something like that. So she was in TNA for like a good 8 years. So that's cool. She got a good reaction. They're still in Minneapolis. Moving on. This leads us into Judas Icarus and Eric Young. Judas, he got the win. I don't really give a shit about this at all. So Eric Young then attacked Judas Icarus with a low blow. He threatened the referee. Joe Hendry showed up, and this is how Icarus got the win. I don't give a shit about this. I don't really like this Joe Hendry Eric Young feud. It's going nowhere. So, there is that. So basically, it seems like Eric Young is probably going to get fined for attacking another TNA official. Who gives a shit? I don't care about this at all. Moving on. So we get a Mentor You vignette with Victoria Crawford, a.k.a. Alicia Fox, unsuccessfully trying to convince Jody Threat to get her help. Gia Miller walked in and said that she convinced TNA management to lift Tessa Blanchard's suspension. However, Gia Miller said that if Tessa went after her again, she'd make her regret it. So they are building towards their match at Bound for Glory, which is fine. I don't think it should go that far to Bound for Glory. To me, that's something that they could hash out on a random episode of TNA Impact, if we're being honest. I don't think that Tessa needs to go up against Gia Miller at Bound for Glory, TNA WrestleMania. It just doesn't make sense. That feels like a total pre-show match or whatever. So hopefully, we've got 4 weeks. Hopefully, they can just do Gia Miller and Tessa on a random episode of TNA Impact. That's just how I feel about it. Moving on. This leads us into the Rascals. They were seen hanging out in the treehouse talking about Myron Reed earning a shot at the TNA X Division Championship. So they begin to bicker a little bit, meaning Zachary Wentz. So they all celebrated the occasion by lighting it up and smoking up the place. So Santana showed up and he joined in. So that was pretty funny there. Okay, all right, that's fine. Then we got a 6 knockout tag team match. Masha Semovich and the Inspiration versus the Elegance brand. Heather, M, and Ash by Elegance. And the Elegance brand got the win. So the personal concierge, he created a distraction. And this allowed for M by Elegance, Maggie by Elegance to get the win. She used the ropes for leverage. Cool stuff there. I do like that. I do like the Elegance brand. They're great. So there is that. So then this leads us into Frankie Kazarian. He had another edition of the King's speech. He said that Minnesota is known for a prince, but tonight they've been known for having a king in their presence. He welcomed tonight's special guest himself. Frankie Kazarian announced the Victory Road. It's going to be Kazarian versus Steve Maclin for the International Championship. TNA International Championship, to be specific and precise. So, Frankie Kazarian declared that people would remember kings, not soldiers, and that he would defeat Steve Maclin to become the new international champion. Frankie Kazarian said, "We got another special guest tonight. but he wasn't going to announce it since he let the guest do it himself. And it ends up being Mr. Anderson, a.k.a. Mr. Kennedy. Really good reaction. Crowd loved it. So him and Kazarian began to bicker back and forth. Anderson said that he's been an Indianapolis native for about 20 years now, which he calls his home. Kazarian talked about their past and how he beat him when they had their first ever singles Ultimate X match years ago. Then he brought up his time in the Army Reserves, and then he turned his attention to Steve Macklin, someone he called a coward. He asked if Anderson was a coward because he apparently looked like a guy who ran from a fight rather than towards it. So Frankie then continues to poke the bear by making fun of his family and everything else, and he just wanted to piss off Anderson. So then Frankie Kazarian just shoves Ken Anderson, and then Mr. Kennedy attacks Frankie Kazarian only for a brief moment, and then Jake Something shows up, and Jake Something attacks Mr. Anderson, and then Macklin comes out to make the save. So it seems like it's going to be a tag team match next week. Steve Macklin and Mr. Anderson versus Jake Something and Frankie Kazarian. This is fine, I guess. Whatever. I'm glad that Mr. Anderson's back. It's probably just a one-off, basically, pretty much. Good to see him back, though. He's been gone for, like, well over 9 years. But, I'm glad that he's back. Good shit. Moving on. So, Dani Luna lost to Indi Hartwell via DQ. Dani Luna used a steel chair, and she beat up Indi Hartwell post-match with it. And security tried to stop it, and there is that. Moving on, so Xia Li and Li Ying Li, a.k.a. Xia Li, they're backstage talking about their partnership, and they unveiled their new tag team name, Angel Warriors. Cool. Then Mike Santana defeated a guy by the name of AJZ. He wins in quick fashion via the spin the block lariat. And then Santana got on the mic post-match. He said that Trick Williams got him when his guard was down, but it wasn't going to happen again. And he said at Bound for Glory, Trick Williams would have to pray to the Lord because his ass was his at this point. Ridge Holland, who has not been on NXT television in months, shows up and beats the shit out of Mike Santana. He hits his finisher on him, so Holland is still jacked. I'm glad that he's in TNA. Well, he's not in TNA, but I'm glad that he's on the show. But we've not seen Ridge Holland in NXT for months. I'm talking about months. I want to say it's probably been since maybe between April and May. We've not seen him in a while, though. We haven't seen him in a good bit. So there is that. And then this leads us into the main event of the evening. The Hardy Boys, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff Hardy, they retained their TNA World Tag Team Championships by defeating the Nemeths, Ryan and Nick Nemeth. And Matt Cardona was on commentary. The Hardys got the win. Match was okay. And that was the show. So this is fine. It makes perfect sense. I do like this. I am excited for this invasion angle that TNA is planning for NXT next week. So that should be really good there. And Victory Road seems to be okay as well. That card is fleshing out quite well, if I'm being honest, to say the very least. But all in all, TNA was okay for the most part. The main event was cool. Mr. Anderson showing up, making a surprise appearance, that was cool. Dani Luna still being pushed as a heel is cool. I do like that. So, yeah, this was a pretty okay episode of TNA Impact. But what did you guys think? Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.